Wrestling fans, we're backstage here at Survival of the Fittest Ballpark Brawl 7. I'm here with Sterling James Keenan. Sterling James, your first time at Ballpark Brawl. You're in that tables tag team match with Brody Lee.
Not exactly sure how the tag team tables match is going to work. I know there's going to be a lot of bodies and a lot of tables. I'm really excited to be here, even though I hate Buffalo. It's got to be my least favorite city I've ever been in, and that's a shoot. I'm really looking forward to Ballpark Brawl. I've heard a lot of great things. I heard I have a lot of friends that have worked the past shows, so I'm glad to be a part of it the first time.
Talk a little bit about how you got involved in wrestling, how you got your start here.
I started out in Pittsburgh, just like basically any other wrestler would go about. I went through the training school, and I trained and busted my ass and wrestled and tried to get my name out there. And in the last year or so, I've really got a lot of good opportunities. I've been traveling to England for 1PW. That's great. I get a lot of international exposure for that. Doing a little bit of work for Ring of Honor. I actually worked Ring of Honor here in Buffalo, which I think is what kind of started my career up in the New York area, and NWA Upstate, which I actually did last night. So that's pretty much how I've gotten into the Ballpark Brawl scene.
Talk a little bit about 1PW. I mean, they do some outstanding shows out in England. They actually have a great blueprint the way they're doing things. I mean, you're a big part of that out there. Talk a little bit more about 1PW.
1PW is right now, I think financially, is about the biggest company in Europe, if not the one of. It's great. It's an absolute blast. They take such good care of all the boys. Shows are incredible. The talent they use. I mean, Samoa Joe, TNA talent, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, some like Austin Aries. There's a ton of guys, and they bring in a lot of former WWE stars. But the shows are absolutely incredible. Just a great thing to be a part of. I sort of unofficially become Mr. 1PW kind of by default. I was really one of the only guys that hadn't been in WWE or TNA or really a big part of Ring of Honor before I went over there. So I was basically unknown. So I've worked my way up to a point where I'm one of the top tier wrestlers for them. So it's really exciting. I think there's going to be a lot of good things that come from that.
Another big promotion that you've been part of, or a big part of, IWC, International Wrestling Cartel. Talk a little bit about the fans out there, about the promotion out in Pittsburgh.
I actually just made my return to IWC about 2 months ago, and I blew out my knee in the process, which was really a letdown. I had some issues and had to take care of them, and I recently got back in the ring there. Last month they had a War Games match, which I was a part of, and drew one of their biggest crowds they've ever had, and it was a blast. A lot of great talent. That's where I met John McChesney. Where I first started working with John McChesney, who is, as you guys know, is incredible talent.
WWE, obviously, you've worked there recently. I mean, you're definitely on their radar. Talk a little bit about like some of the things going through your head, and recently working with them, and just give the fans an update with that whole situation.
I want to know if anyone from WWE sees this. When will you give me a job? No, they're taking good care of me. They're sending me all over the place. I'm getting a lot of work with them. It's just it gets frustrating, you know what I mean, because I've been trying so hard to get a job, and I've seen my friend CM Punk's like one of my best friends in the world, and seeing him, have the success he has, I'm really happy for him, but at the same time, it's really hard, while I'm sort of, still doing indies. But I just keep my head up and keep working and doing whatever they want me to do, and I promise I'll be in New York one of these days.
Known for the stay down, where did that come from?
Basically, it started out as sort of a joke. It started more or less to make myself laugh, but then I realized it was a really cool marketing ploy for wrestling. So I've got on promos and T-shirts, and it actually made me a lot of money. But the one thing that kind of sucks is you tend to get into trouble in bars because you get a drunk guy with beer muscles who wants to say, "Oh, you stay down," and it's got me in a fight or two.
Before we go, I see you're wearing the Pittsburgh Pirates hat. I know Steve Carino, big Phillies fan. Are you a big Pirates fan?
A huge Pirates fan. That's right there. They are the worst team in baseball, and that's okay because I still love them. I actually have season tickets. I'm a big baseball fan in general. I was really bummed out when I found out last night there was no baseball game today. So Carino and I were actually trying to organize a little pickup game. I heard the Bisons are coming back to town from Scranton because they got rained out. So we're gonna make a few phone calls, see what we can't stir up, maybe get a little home run derby going.
You happy for Jim Leland with the Tigers?
I'm very happy for Jim Leland and the Tigers. I was a big Jim Leland fan back when the Pirates were actually good. Back when they had Barry Bonds, Bobby Bonilla, Andy Van Slyke. I was still young, but I still remember those were the great days, even though they always lost to the Braves. But yeah, it's great. I hate Detroit. Detroit, aside from Buffalo, probably my second favorite city I've ever been to, which is ironic. But I'm really happy to see him doing well, and hopefully he'll get a championship because he deserves it. He's one of the best coaches that doesn't get the credit that he deserves.
Before we go here, your GM for a day. Just what would you do with the Pirates? GM for a day. Any moves you want, what would you do?
I would...
off the hip.
Off the hip, I would probably have a fire sale, get rid of anybody I could, spend some money. That's the problem. We get someone that's productive. I would keep Jack Wilson because he produces, Freddie Sanchez, Jason Bay. Aside from those guys, the other ones are expendable. Apparently we have some good talent in the minor leagues. But our problem is for some reason, anytime someone starts producing, they trade him. And I'd try as hard as I could to get Craig Wilson back because he's too great to be a Yankee. Go Sox.
Sterling, pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Look forward to seeing you. Sterling James Keenan.